Hey everyone, this is 2025 Rock and Roll Arizona. This is happening on January 19th of 2025. We're going to talk about some race insights, some course tips that you need to know. First off, a lot of info is not posted on the website yet. I'm sure you're going to be peppered with lots of emails, and this is going to get updated as it gets closer. We are a little bit of ways out here, so no harm, no foul. We're over a month away, but wanted to get this out to everyone. So they know what to expect. So first off, Arizona, this is a dry climate. This is a desert after all. More on that a little bit later when we're doing the course breakdown. The elevation is about 1,000 feet, I believe, off the top of my head. Temperatures are going to range from very cold at night. They're going to get up to about the 60s-ish. I think the record in January is like 80, 84, somewhere in there. So it could be a whole array of temperatures. But what I would expect is a chillier morning to start, and it's going to warm up as you progress down the road there. So with that, let's talk about what we do know. So we do have a course map up on the website. We do have the race weekend schedule here. Entertainment, this is the list of entertainment. So if you want to pause the video, you can see the bands that are already up there for the half marathon. This is our course map that we have created here, and we're going to dive into this in a second. The race weekend schedule that is up as of right now. So Friday, this is going to happen Friday before the race, noon to 7 p.m. The expo is open. Saturday, again, 9 to 5, expo is open. And then this Saturday, that is where things do kick off. Our half marathon start time is 7:15, so plan to get there a little bit ahead of that, just to make sure you are in the corrals and make sure you are lined up correctly. Do not show up 10 minutes before these start, okay? And I'm sure they're going to be in communication with things to do beforehand, but that is what's happening, and you can read about the expo, you can read about ambassadors, all that good stuff. Their partners are listed below. This is our course map here, and we'll do this one because it's a little bit clearer. Our start is happening right on 3rd Street. We are going to go up, and as we scroll up here, we are going to go up a little out and back section, back through. This is going to be the most photogenic part of the course here, and then we are going to finish back up over the bridges. This is our course map that we have laid out for you, and let's zoom out so you can see what we are going to be tackling. About 370 feet of elevation gain, give or take a little bit. And again, we are starting at about 1,000 feet up there, so we are going to be climbing a little bit more. People in sea level, you might have a little bit of elevation hit here, but nothing too crazy. If you are coming from elevation, think like Colorado, something like that, this is going to be right in your wheelhouse. It's going to feel great down there. But in terms of the two big hills that you are going to see out here, again, remember this is only 370-ish feet of elevation gain over the entire race, so these hills aren't super, super crazy. The first one, and we are going to highlight this section here just to get a good sense of what we are going to be tackling. We do have 170 feet of elevation gain over the course of our first 3 miles, that 5K mark. And again, 365 feet of elevation gain. A good chunk of it is happening right here. What that means, you're going to compact this with the colder mornings of race morning. It's going to be very easy for you to really, really overdo it. This is going to be a faster section than you think, believe it or not, especially going up to the 2 mile mark. And then once you get to the 2 mile to 3 mile, that's where the elevation is the steepest, clocking out at about a 3% max. And that's going to happen right before you hit that mile 3. But starting out here for this first half a mile, it's going to be bunched up. Things are going to be a little bit tight. Everyone's going to be a little bit nervous. They're going to be cold, so naturally they're going to go out fast. Pro tip for you, make sure you stay warm as long as possible and as close as possible leading up to that start time of yours. Just so you don't fall into the classic pitfall of, I'm freezing cold, I'm just going to fly for the first 2 or 3 miles to get warm. Loads of people are going to be doing that. What I would encourage you to do is find a group of people that are a little bit faster than you and just kind of hang on, just let them slowly run away from you as you get over the course of these 3 miles here. Don't lose sight of them. Just keep them in your eyesight. If you do go really, really fast here and really, really blow it, you do have a little bit of an opportunity to kind of recover here. But because the race is where it is, these first 3 miles, and especially from mile 2 to mile 3, that's going to be critical. After you get past here, this mile 3 up to mile, let's call it 6.5. This is our turnaround right here. Another 3.3 mile distance. Elevation gain 26 feet. Elevation loss about 75, 80 feet of elevation loss. Maybe a little bit more depending on where you put that selector there, that section here. But this is our next section of the race course up to the turnaround here. This area here, let's highlight it for you, this downhill section from mile 3 to about 4.25, very, very critical for your race day success. This is a downhill section. This is going to be where you're going to start to claw the time back on a lot of those athletes that really, really push the pace. And if you find that you're not clawing that time back, that's okay. Just keep that time consistent between your competitors and your rivals, the people that you want to pass. If you do that without overdoing it on effort, you're going to set yourself up for success really, really well at about that 4.25 mile marker. And once you get to there, then things really, really kick off. Because this steady section right through here, you're looking at about a less than 0.5%. It's going to be one of those false flat scenarios. Think like treadmill runs. It's very, very akin to what you're going to be feeling here. And that lasts for a good chunk, 2.5 miles of just steady climb. If the wind is in your face over here, again, it's not going to be as fun, especially coming out on the out section. And when you come back, it's going to be a little more. It's going to be a little bit more fun. It's going to be a little warmer. But this section, you have loads of opportunity to really, really get that pace back. So that steeper section, and again, I say that in quotations that we were talking about a little earlier at this point here, those time losses are definitely going to be negated once you hit this section here, just because it's open, it's out and back, it's really, really straightforward on race day. The only section that you do need to worry about a little bit here, and let's try to zoom in for you, is this little waggle right through here. And again, if that's the biggest thing that we're worried about on race day, it's pretty just straightforward. But then after you get past this section here, then things they change a little bit. So from mile, let's call it 8.3, this is going to be to the time you get off the highway here. This section, 1.8 miles, about a 2% max grade here, but we are going to experience about 120-ish feet of elevation gain. And again, that max grade, it's nothing crazy, right? It's just going to slowly eat at you over these 2-mile sections. So if you've overdone it in those flatter sections that we talked about, the out and back, up this road right here. If you've overdone it there, then you're going to pay for it a little bit here, and it's going to be one of those slow burns. So you're going to feel great, and then all of a sudden you're going to slowly start to feel terrible, and then you're going to start to get off the highway, and then you're going to have to do a little bit of damage control, but we'll talk about that in a second. But this is a great opportunity, a springboard for you if you are feeling great. This is a very, very common springboard. This is one where a lot of athletes really target. So I would not advise you to put all of your eggs in one basket up here to try and catch people. This ends at about 10 miles when we do make that left turn-ish. And again, if you map it out as is written on this map here, you do end up with a little bit more than 13.5 miles, which is why I've done that here. So keep an eye out on race day. It might be a little bit different for you. It might be, if that is there, ask if the race course is actually 13.1 miles, because I don't believe that it is if you have to do that little waggle right over here. But again, you can find that out on race day or on race weekend when you travel there and look at the expo and look at the course maps and ask the questions to them in person, everything that's going to come to you. So this next section here, we're just going to highlight all the way to the end. 3.5 miles here, about, and if we want to get super technical here, we're talking about 3.3 miles. But once you do hit this left-hand section off the highway, then things do get a little fun. You are going to go through the park here. Again, very picturesque. If you look on their website, this is going to be where a lot of the photos are taking place, right through here. Very, very cool stuff. A little older road there, so you do get a little unique feel for it there. So you're going to run on brand new roads, you're going to run on old roads, you're going to run on tumbleweed roads. It's great back through here. But this little dipsy-do that we have down here, a little dip, and then you climb up again. This is going to be a section. This is probably one of the most important sections right here on the race day. Right here, and extends off into the distance a little bit. If you are feeling really good at the top of this hill and you go for it, this is probably going to be a better section to put some more eggs into instead of the more common one back through here leading up to this section. Again, you are going to be wanting to go and push the pace a little faster here, but this section right here, and especially pushing to 11.5, are going to be critical. After you hit 11.5, it does slowly start to flatten out, and it's a steady decline all the way to the finish. I will warn you, when you are going back, it's really open to the elements. That cool section that we talked about earlier, this section right here, that's a terrible line, but this section right there, that is also, it's really cool, but it's also really exposed, and that's going to be just a pattern for this whole course. So if it is raining, if it is raining and you are unlucky enough to race on a day like that, there's really no shelter from the wind, from the rain. If anything pops up on race day, I mean, you're going to feel it pretty much the entire way. So plan accordingly. Make sure you're looking at the weather reports leading up to the race. I would say that this is a race where you should be watching the weather a little closer, and I would also plan on a couple of different scenarios just in case something does happen, and you're going to have to check the weather on race morning to get a sense of what is actually going to happen on race day. But finishing up from 11.5 to the finish line, that steady decline, this is another area where you should be, put a couple of eggs in the basket of this. I need to really, really focus on this section here. And that is our race course, believe it or not. That's what it is. Now, another thing that you should take note of is on the aid stations, we do have mortal hydration at the aid stations, and they do list that it's going to happen on every other aid station. With that, right, the first one that you are going to experience the aid for, or the mortal, is going to be this one here. I don't know if that second one is going to happen right here or not, if that aid station is actually going to be on that side or the other side. I would bet that the second aid station is here, or the third aid station is here right before mile 5. And then you loop around. This aid station is going to have mortal, according to them. This one's going to have mortal if this aid station is on the other side. And then that means that this is going to be the last aid station. It's just going to have water. But again, make sure you are aware of what's happening leading up to the race here, and also seeing if they list the official aid stations that do have the mortal hydration. If you're not practicing with mortal hydration, one of the sponsors for this race, or one of their partners, is the Feed. Head over to the Feed, super easy. You get over there. They do have a couple of deals on mortal hydration every now and again. So make sure you do get one of those packets of mortal just to see if it upsets your stomach or not. If it does upset your stomach, which is a decent amount of folks, make sure you do plan on bringing some race day nutrition yourself, because you won't have access to it. I mean, you do, but you really won't want to if it is upsetting you. And that's just something you're going to have to trial and error, something you're going to have to see. Very common on the iron circuit for the 73s and the full distances in 2024. For a number of athletes, it did work out. For a number, it didn't, and it was just trial and error. But what you don't want to do is trial that on race day. So another pro tip for you, make sure you are aware of that. All right, and that's our 2025 breakdown of the course. If you want any more specifics, individually, make sure you do reach out. We are available. We have a couple of slots for coaching for the next 20-25 year. So if you do want some of that, make sure you're reaching out. Contact info is below. Good luck to everyone racing on this 2025 edition.